So, finally time for a $50 mouse I've been waiting to review for about 2 months now. And did this mouse disappoint me? Or what's so special about this mouse for its price? And is it its 180 million switches, or the shape of it, or is it the Pixar 3395 sensor, which also supports the 8 kHz polling rate? Let's have a look today if this mouse is even worthy or not. In the middle of 2024, introducing to you Adductor X3 Pro. Today's review unit was sent to me by Gadget Nova. Gadget Nova has been one of the current most active PC peripherals importer, with bringing Adductor, Jinmeng and few other popular brands also. You can find today's Adductor X3 Pro from them for only 5500 BDT. And now onto the video. So let's start out today's video with a quick unboxing of this mouse. The box this mouse comes in is a pretty simple one, and opening the box, at first we get a dongle extender which is made out of aluminium and lets the dongle stay at a closer range to the mouse. Then we get a braided Type-C to A cable, and is a pretty good one. After that we get our user manual, and lastly we have some extra OEM grip tapes and fits in the box. And that's all to the box contents. And now let's have a look at the mouse. Taking it out from the plastic wrap, we get a beautiful mouse in 2 color variants among the 3, which are black, white and red. And holding it for the first time, you can feel its premiumness. And that's all to the unboxing. Now about the shape of the mouse. And the shape of this mouse is a pretty common one and follows the exact shape of G Pro X Superlight, just minus the size. So as per the specs, the mouse is 119 by 61 by 40 mm in length, width and height. But in my measurement, the dimension I found is 117.8 mm in length, 57.3 in the middle width and 39 mm on the height, which is quite weird, but there is that, since I did check my measurements multiple times and each time it came out exactly the same. So even so, the measurements didn't affect any performance, rather it did feel like a proper handy small mouse. Looking at the front, we see that there is no inclination on the side, rather the inclination is linear to the front. And looking sideways, the mouse has a well-rounded hump but with a slight aggressive inclination on the back to the bottom. And this did make the mouse sit properly on my palm while claw gripping it. And looking at the back hump, we see that the mouse also doesn't incline on any side and has a uniform dimension across it. Since this mouse sits right around the price segment of VGN R1 Pro, so let's compare both of its shape. Here we can see that the R1 Pro has a bit lower hump while having a similar inclination on the end, and the R1 is a bit bigger than the X3 Pro, which also have a lower inclination on the front than the X3 Pro. And this is more evident if you have a look at the yellow shape, where you can see the comparison between the R1 Pro and X3 Pro does match, as I said. And also for the G Pro X Superlight, the curve and the button placement is exactly identical minus the difference in the size. And this GPX inspired size makes the mouse pretty comfy in hand to hold on. So for the build and comfort, before we start talking about how comfortable this mouse is, let's see how well this mouse is built. For the squeeze test, this mouse didn't give any kind of visual or audio cue about the creaking while I press the mouse sideways and also on the top. And for the front clicks, while I push them with force, I didn't see any kind of squeaking or loose movements on the clicks of this mouse. And also, the mouse felt pretty premium to hold on and didn't feel like a hollow mouse, which gives a cheap feel. And for the surface of this mouse, it has a powder coating on it, which gives the mouse a slight grainy surface to hold on, which also makes it quite grippy. And another advantage of this coat is, while you sweat on the mouse, neither the sweat spot and nor it feels slippery. And being a small mouse, the mouse felt pretty comfortable to hold on fingertip or claw grip, and this was way too small to hold in palm grip comfortably with my medium-sized hands. So are you feeling curious about the weight? As per the specs, the mouse should be around 59 grams, but while I measure it with my weight scale, I find that the weight of this mouse is 59.67 gram, which is without the USB dongle or shell of the storage of the dongle. And the weight seems fair since it houses 500 mAh battery. And if you are curious about if the weight is balanced or not, holding on the top and the bottom of this mouse, we see that this mouse didn't incline on any side and held its center mass. And also, while holding on the middle, it gave the same result. So yes, this mouse is perfectly center balanced. For the internals, the sensor this mouse houses is the Pixar 3395 sensor, with the BK3633 MCU, which is equivalent to Nordic 528401, but how stable is its performance? And about that in the performance part later. And while staying on the back, we see that the back is properly labeled about the feature of this mouse with the spec of the sensor, which is 600 IPS, 50G acceleration and up to 26,000 dpi. And on the middle there is the mode switch, and by the both side of the sensor there are the dpi button and the polling rate button on the respective left and right side, with the indicator light just below the label. Hence there is a minimal button layout on the top of the mouse, and on the bottom compartment there is the 2.4 GHz dongle, and this can receive up to 4 kHz polling rate, which spares a lot of hassle. And let's not ignore the skirts now. The skirts we have here are OEM PTFE fit, but they are on the better side, but is as much you can expect for a OEM fit. But the mouse performs pretty well in stock and glides fairly smooth, which I am demonstrating on the Aegis MP05 mousepad, which is a hybrid control mousepad. The switch we get in this mouse is the Kyle Black Mamba switch, which is a pretty well known switch at this point, and this is a clicky switch with 80 million click lifetime. And the side buttons we have here are the Black Mamba switch as well. And the scroll wheel this mouse has is the TTC encoder, and it's a proper tactility and also smoothness on the scroll. And if you check the pre-travel of the switches, the front left click did show some slight pre-travel after 1 month of usage, but the right click didn't have any kind of pre-travel, and so did the side buttons were firm to the touch and there were no wobble on them. And also the scroll wheel also didn't wobble even after rigorous 1 month of usage. And here's the switch sound test. Now about the performance, and before that let's check the polling rate. The mouse holds around the 1 kHz polling rate perfectly, and the 4 kHz also stays consistent with the dongle. But if we go for the 8 kHz polling rate, which requires wired connection, we see that the polling rate isn't that stable and stays between the 6700 to 7600 kHz, which is a bummer since for a Nordic sensor we at least shouldn't have seen anything below 7400 kHz. And even though the base X3 variant did have some sensor issue, in my last 1 month of testing I didn't face any kind of jitter, freezing or spin out with this mouse, and the gameplay performance was also flawless on this. And while I am showing my Valorant gameplay, this mouse performed well in other FPS games also. And now let's take a little bit more look into the gameplay video for a better idea. And for the software, this one is one of the most robust software right now in the market probably. This is Ataxar's cloud-based driver which supports multi-device. And to start with the home page, in the home page we get the basic control of this mouse with reassigning the keys on demand, and on the next tab we get to customize the DPI level, and after that there's the parameter tab where we can set different simulation levels and also the polling rate with the lift off distance and the angle snapping options. Following this tab there's the macro tab on the next, and it's self-explanatory. And lastly, ignoring the share and my account tab, we go to the app settings where it's just basic app controls. So overall the software is one of the best mouse software I have seen in quite a while. So time for the verdict. Should you buy this or not? Honestly, if you are looking for a claw grip or fingertip grip mouse with something of a GPX shape and don't mind the weight of 60 gram, this mouse is just for you. The performance was top notch for this mouse, and the heavy usage of this one got me around 5 to 7 days of battery life with a 500 mAh battery. So I would definitely recommend this mouse to a novice gamer or any kind of mid-range player. So I hope this review was helpful, and if you like the review, do give a like and subscribe. And also thanks for the 2000 subscriber finally. Means a lot everyone, and thank you again.